for our feature presentation.
He'll be fire on the mountain.
JB and Darren on the JB and Goldwater Show.
Line drive right field, base hit. South Carolina wins the College World Series. Watson, touchdown. Hunter Renfrow. He got him, and it's all over. Coastal Carolina rules the roost. They win the championship. And South Carolina has won the national championship.
The Citadel baseball team has done it again, but this time the Bulldogs beat one of the top teams in the country. They are giant killers. Get the ball to Bennett. He does.
Gamecocks are in the Final Four.
All right, greetings and a good Thursday afternoon, and welcome aboard the JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online, and driven by our friends and yours at Stokes Volkswagen. Find them at stokesvw.com. You can find us on the all-new JB and Goldwater app, and also at jbandgoldwatershow.com. Download that app. It also gives you access to the season ticket suite, and you can purchase a season ticket while you're in there. A bunch of additional info, kind of behind-the-scenes type stuff for some of our great fans out there, and certainly we hope that you all enjoy that. And if you don't, tell us. We'll fix it.
That's right.
But we know that you do, so we're not really that concerned about it. Here till 2 o'clock today, to the right of the screen, that's Darren Goldwater. I'm Jamie. Across all social media platforms, at JB and Goldwater, individually at Sports Radio JB, and at Darren Goldwater. Phone lines, they're open, 843-321-8893. That's also the text line, and you can send us a message on there as well. Or wherever you watch and listen to our program, just type it in. Darren gets it, and if it's a good one, we'll pop it up on the screen for you here over the next couple of hours. Speaking of which, over the next couple of hours, we do have David Cloninger at 12:30 with the Post and Courier. We're going to talk to him about the Gamecock basketball team. When are they going to be back on the court? Won't be playing Clemson this weekend, but an update coming from D.C., and so looking forward to that. Also, Bob Caslin spoke on potential athletics cuts this week. We'll get an update on that, and we'll also get an update on the Gamecock women's basketball team and a couple of things with the South Carolina football program. We do have Scott Glaze today at 1 o'clock. He's going to talk about Tiger and Charlie this weekend. They're playing golf, remember? So really looking forward to having a conversation with him. We've got some D1 transfer news, the NIL proposal from Congress yesterday. Of course, I see that they want the president to have a role in this, which I don't care who the president is. I don't want any president to have a role in this. We're going to get to that. We'll get there. The AAC commissioner, he has spoken. We've got some news to get to here in a minute and some local stuff. We got some baseball news. But then coming up at 1:30 today, we will speak for the first time with new South Carolina head football coach Shane Beamer. He has been kind enough to join us for the final segment of our program. So we're going to keep him around as long as he'll stay. Might be 10 minutes, might be 20, might be 30. I don't know. You'll have to see. But Shane is coming up here in about an hour and a half on our program. We're excited to be able to speak with him as well. So full boat again today, Darren.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to talking with Coach Beamer less than 2 weeks after he has been named the head coach of South Carolina. So we'll hear his grand plan about winning the national championship next year and pulling in the best recruiting class in the country this year. And everything's going to be great.
Yeah, everything's going to be great.
Nice and simple.
By the way, I have a personal note here. There's a gentleman who sends us a lot of messages. Craig?
Yes.
Craig Godwin.
Yes.
So I don't know if he knows this or not. We discovered this a few days ago. His cousin, Nick Godwin, was my roommate at Carolina and is one of my best friends.
Is that right?
Yeah. Gotti called me the other day. He said, I think my cousin watches your show all the time. And anyways, yeah, he's one of my best friends. I talked to him this morning, actually. And Gotti was a baseball hero for the Gamecocks in 2008 when he beat Clemson twice.
I remember calling some of his games when I was doing Citadel baseball and playing Carolina.
Yeah, he goes by Gotti. We oftentimes his wife calls him Nick, and I'm like, who the hell is she talking to? I've known Gotti. We actually went to junior college together as well before South Carolina, and so I've known him for 16 years, and I don't think I've ever called him Nick in 16 years. So for what that's worth.
Checking in with him right now to see if it's actually his cousin. I'm assuming it is.
We're pretty sure it is. I mean, Gotti, I think, knows who his family is. So.
I would think so.
News today from Charleston County. By the way, Charleston County Athletics, they're on pause until January the 10th, and they're going to try to reschedule any region games that are missed between now and then. It starts today, and then it'll end on the 10th. They're going to try to get back on the 11th, but they'll reevaluate the situation throughout this couple week span here, and we'll see what happens. But that's unfortunate for all those who are playing high school athletics right now in Charleston County, but it needs to be done. Apparently,
they'll be practicing, however, until the end of December. Right. So that the practice is still going on, but the competition between the schools has been shut down. They'll reevaluate that.
Okay. All right. Also, news today, officially released by the University of Kentucky. They have hired Eric Wolford away from South Carolina to be their offensive line coach. So good luck to Coach Wolf as he heads to Lexington, but he'll stay, of course, in the SEC, and he'll see the Gamecocks every year. But no longer with South Carolina. Don't know whether he was expected or not expected necessarily to be retained, but we do have Coach Beamer coming up at 1:30 today, so we'll probably mention to him this news and see what his thoughts are to get that position filled and things like that. If he's willing to give us any of that information, we'll see. But Eric Wolford is officially moving on. Yesterday, the AAC's commissioner basically said, bring back the BCS system.
Yep.
The deck is stacked against the group of five, Darren. I don't agree with that, but I know he's not wrong in what he's saying about the deck being stacked. I wouldn't necessarily go back to BCS. Here's his quote. I never thought I'd say it, but if this continues, bring back the BCS and the computers because it would be a fairer system than what I'm seeing now. This is the 7th year, and it does appear the deck is stacked against us and against the other group of 5 teams as well. That is from American Athletic Conference Commissioner Mike Oresco. I disagree. I agree with what you and I said months ago. Expand the playoff. They need to expand the playoff instead of going back to the BCS.
Well, I brought it up yesterday that bringing back the BCS in some form wouldn't be the worst idea right now.
Well,
now, going all in on the BCS, that's another conversation. But bringing computers into the fold here. I mean, JC said on the show yesterday that it is, I'm paraphrasing however he put it, but by far the worst job the committee's ever done in selecting the teams right now.
It is.
We can all pretty much agree with that. We've seen how far or how not far teams have fallen when they lose. We've seen how teams in the American have gone undefeated, Cincinnati, and they're not moving up. Right. So I understand conference commissioners, and I assure you it's not just Mike Oresco who's upset about this. Mm-hmm. It's all of them. Yeah. Because it's clear that if they're ever going to get into the playoffs, it's not going to come in this format. It's just not.
No, it's not. But let's be clear too. If let's say the BCS system was still in place, Cincinnati ain't getting into the national championship with that either. They might be ranked higher, 6th or 7th, but they wouldn't be ranked 1 or 2. Right now, that would be Alabama and Notre Dame. Of course, the games have to be played this weekend, certainly, but it'd be Alabama, and it'd be a foregone conclusion that it's going to be Alabama and either Notre Dame or Clemson, basically.
Yes.
Ohio State wouldn't even have a prayer getting into the national championship if the BCS system was still in play. So let's look at it let's go to your model.
Yeah, use them both.
Let's go to your 8-team model.
My 8-team model.
The 8-team model. So months ago, Darren and I did a little I don't know, practice
exercise.
Sure. Yeah, there you go. A little exercise around here. Now I threw out the 16-team model. The key takeaway from mine was to be able to grow the sport. You have to give more teams an opportunity to play for the whole shebang. That's the only way to grow the sport, in my opinion. If you're able to hang banners in your ballpark every year that says the college football playoff participant or Sweet 16, Elite 8, top 12, whatever it says, whatever. That's going to go a long way in recruiting. When you're in a playoff, there's more money in the playoff. If you expand the playoffs, there's going to be more money because the TV is going to air it all, and so there's going to be more money to go around. More conferences are going to be subjected to more cash and things like that. And these programs will be able to grow because of that. But let's just go to the 8 for the time being here. So you got pros and cons with the 8 as well. The thought with the 8 is put all the Power 5 champions in there, and then you're probably going to have 3 at-large bids after that. And then that's subjective as to how you do that, right? Do you mandate that there's one group of 5 or 2 group of 5, or do you just say, nah, just put the 3 best teams in there? Everybody can talk about that. But hold on, let me back up. Last year, granted that they had Clemson. The ACC had Clemson. I mean, they have Clemson every year, but last year Clemson was the best team in the ACC. The ACC was like the 6th best conference in football last year.
Right.
It's not always going to be the case where Clemson's going to be doing what they're doing. Like, let's say, for instance, you flip that around and it's the Pac-12, and none of them are really that good. Like, just because they won the Pac-12, do they deserve to be in the 8? You see what I'm saying here? So we could say, all right, well, the winners of the Power 5 are all going to be in there, but should they be? Like, you know what I mean?
So there has to be some type of parameter. So
right.
when I put together my 8-team playoff, I did not guarantee the group of 5.
You did not
a spot
that's
in it.
Very true.
But in going through the previous years using the model that I'd put together, typically a group of 5 team would be either in it or right on the cusp of getting in it. You really do have to earn it. You probably do have to go undefeated. I mean, almost assuredly have to go undefeated. My philosophy was the champion from all the Power 5 leagues, like you said, and then you have 3 at-large bids. And then where I settled was, if you want to use a ranking system, so you could use a BCS type system at this point, you could use the committee's ranking, however you want to go with this. You couldn't have more than 2 teams from one league. Mm-hmm. So say Florida had not just lost to LSU. Say we got to the end and you could have easily made an argument for Alabama, Florida, and Texas A&M. That would be off the table in my format.
But that's where I have a problem with that. Because
right,
and rightfully so, right? Like, if they're 3 of the best 8 teams in the country, they should be in there.
There has to be some type of a cutoff, because I don't want half of a playoff to be one league. And if you're 3, that's close enough to half of 8. Mm-hmm. So this was just my logic. So you can't have more than 2. And if you're going to have 2, then one of them absolutely must be the conference champ.
Yeah.
And then after that, you could see some teams, like let's use that scenario again. Say Florida was number 8. They would bump out because they couldn't get in with Alabama and Texas A&M. And then whoever was 9, say Cincinnati, could slide up and get in there. Mm-hmm. In that instance, if it's just 8 and then the 3 best at large, there's also no guarantee that the group of 5 gets in.
Sure. Okay. All right. You know what, by the way, I know that I've kind of hammered Dennis Dodd the last couple of weeks from his report about Carolina, but he did tweet something just a moment ago that's right. It's actually right on the money. That in his tweet says, hey, look, this should be noted. I'm going to read it word for word here. Credit to Dennis Dodd with CBS. Group of 5 signed off on this system that gives them 15% of the college football playoff revenue, and as a 13-member committee pick teams. They've got 6 years left on a system that they approved. He's right. They did sign off on it, and they do get 15% of the college football playoff revenue. So that should be noted in all of this, that, this isn't something that the Power 5 guys just agreed to do and everybody had to go along with it. Everybody did sign off on this system. Now, as it pertains to the rankings that are out there right now, just the way that it's set up, let me point out a couple of things that I think would fit more of what my model says a little bit. Again, I understand this. Like, somebody that's listening or watching this watching this program is hearing what I'm saying and going, Jamie, you're an idiot, because there's no way that Iowa at number 16 right now can beat Alabama. I know that. I know that. I get it. I get it. Okay. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, like, exactly what Kirk Herbstreit said yesterday. He said this yesterday. He's right. We can project right now in 2023 that Ohio State and Clemson are going to be in the college football playoff. Mm-hmm. We can project that Alabama is going to be in the college football playoff next year, at least. It could changes from time to time in the SEC. Obviously, it's a little bit different. But we can project 3 years from now that Clemson and Ohio State are going to be in the college football playoff. Can we all agree? I mean, it's not a foregone conclusion, but we can all project that. It's a safe projection, right?
It's easy to project that and then say, look, barring any unforeseen circumstance, like half your offensive line breaks a leg or your quarterback, right? Yeah, it's easy to project.
It's easy to project that in 3 years, those are going to be 2 of the best 4 teams in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're telling me that in 3 years, we're going to be worried about who fills the other 2 spots? More than likely, one of them is going to be Alabama, and
then take your pick for 4.
Okay, and then take your pick for 4 of about 4 other teams? Oklahoma, Notre Dame, probably Georgia. What about I don't know, Florida? I mean, same crap. You know what I'm saying? So how do you grow the sport if you're not growing the platform? And the platform is the thing that these teams play on or play in, the system itself, the playoff. So how do you grow the sport? How do you get it to where we could look up in 4 years and find, I don't know, Northwestern in the college football playoff with an upset and getting into the Final Four? Like how can we do that? We can't do it unless you give them the opportunity. So I'm not against the 8. I'm not against the 8 at all. The 8 would be a tremendous growth from where we are. Matter of fact, before they went to 4, most of us were arguing, well, if you're going to do this, go to 8. Go to 8. Just do it. Go ahead, because you're eventually going to get there anyways. We all knew that, but they didn't want to do it. So let me bring 2 facts into this as it pertains right now, where we stand today in 2020 in college football.
Yeah.
Would you like to see, it sounds like we have a phone call.
We do.
Would you like to see, there was a conversation going into the playoff rankings release on Tuesday night about how far could Southern Cal jump, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Would we like to see them at least have a chance to play? What about Coastal Carolina? Their resume is better than Ohio State's is.
It's this year.
And I get it. We have to remember
so
that.
hard to figure out on this year's model and what's going on this year.
I piggyback on that. Look, you can't overreact because of a pandemic.
Right.
I totally get it. That's fair. But we also need to be responsible in the fact that the sport wants to grow. It's trying to grow. And right now, Cincinnati and Coastal are suffering because of the system that we have in place. If there's an 18 playoff, guess what? Neither one of them are in it either right now.
That's true. And I don't know. One of your main arguments is if you let someone into the playoff, just the fact that they've gotten into the playoff, they can hang a banner, that helps grow the sport, that helps that program and then that league elevate itself simply by getting there. Mm-hmm. I'm not sold on that being the logic because I think it's still a huge hill to climb for anyone without the Power 5 resources to consistently be there. Could you have the flash in the pan like Coastal Carolina this year, like Cincinnati this year? Yeah. Does that mean that they will be forever a power? No, it doesn't. It means that for 4 years they have developed their talent, kept it around, and this year they're one of the best.
I don't know who's on the line right now.
I don't know who's on the line either right now, but what's up?
It's Blair.
Hey, Blair, what's up?
What's up, guys? This is just I've been thinking about this thing a lot, and I know we've talked about this in the past. If you take, let's take the top 8 conferences. Everyone has a conference championship. No matter what your record is in your conference, the winner goes to the playoffs. You have 8 teams. Let them play it out.
Well, look, I'm not opposed to that either. I think that there's a lot of people who've thrown that around. I mean, let's say so you've got, let's say we have to play hypotheticals here because championship games haven't been played yet this weekend. But all right, let's say Cincinnati wins their league. The one that you're going to have a struggle with, though, is where we stand right now in the ACC. Like, even if Clemson loses to Notre Dame again, let's say they lose by a touchdown again, it's still hard for me to figure out how they're not one of the top 4 teams, or by that model, one of the top 8 teams in college football. But for the sake of argument, Cincinnati, let's say Clemson wins and they're in. Let's say, Iowa State beats Oklahoma. There's 3. Ohio State, there's 4. You've got who am I missing here? You got Southern Cal, that's 5. You've got Alabama, that's 6. Coastal Carolina, that's 7 out of the Sun Belt. And then I guess that 8th one would be, I don't know, is that the Mountain West? I'm assuming it's got to be the Mountain West.
You would probably do the Mountain West.
But it could change year to year. If you're talking the top 8 conferences, those could fluctuate. The three outside the Power Five.
Mountain West, Conference USA.
Well,
Yeah, it depends on the conference strength that year.
right. I agree, but at that point, to go back to say, yeah, Clemson, you're hard to believe, but Clemson needs to win that game. Then, if you want to be in the national title game, win your conference, move on. I'm sorry, if you go undefeated the whole entire time, and let's say Clemson on paper is the best team, we know they would beat an Alabama. I'm not saying they would, but let's just say this year you're like, oh man, there's no way if Alabama and Clemson played right now that Clemson wouldn't blow Alabama out. But they lose Notre Dame in the conference championship. That's their problem.
Yeah, well,
move on.
Hey,
Notre Dame goes. I mean, you just beat the number one team, Clemson. You got a shot now of the playoffs. Tough luck.
You know what?
Man.
And you're Blair, you're right about that, and I don't disagree with that at all. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, upsets happen in this sport sometimes, and unfortunate things. Every sport, right? And unfortunate things go on. I mean, golly, South Carolina was in the Final Four a few years ago. They were a 7 seed. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it happens. I think it's a good way to think about it.
It's certainly another option, because I just put it out on Twitter. Like, is there a perfect way to fix this? I don't think there's a perfect way to fix this, because we all thought that the BCS was this horrid system and it had to go. So then we get this committee and we're thinking, okay, maybe this is a little bit better, even though there were cries at the very beginning that 4 is never going to be enough. Mm-hmm. But it still remains. It doesn't matter how big you make the playoffs. If it's 8, teams 9 and 10 are griping. If it's 16, teams 17 and 18 are griping. And once you get that far down, it's easy to make the statement of, well, if you're complaining about being 17 or 18, then you're far enough out anyway. But you can then say the exact same thing about if you're complaining about being 9 or 10, then, we already have our 8. It's the more I think about it, the more I want a combination of humans, like the committee, and a computer. And I don't know if the BCS computer was set up the right way. To be honest, it's been a while. I'd have to go back and really dive into that. So I don't know if that would be the exact computer system I would want, but some type of computer system that can offset the eye test, if you will, that can offset the bias of the brand by just looking at numbers and not names and not logos, and just saying this 9-0 team from the state of Ohio has done enough to be in, and it's not Ohio State, it's Cincinnati. It's got to be some type of unbiased computer that can make that call. I don't think a human's going to make that call.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the answer. I mean, the one thing that he's saying there is, see, by that model though, Blair, thanks for the call, dude. That eliminates your independence. So if Notre Dame's an independent again, they're out. It doesn't matter. They can't be in. So that model sounds great, but it eliminates your independence. It eliminates BYU. Which those are the top 2 independents out there that would have a chance at this, right?
Yes.
And again, we literally could do this all day, but we don't have the time to do it. That's why I like the 16 in college basketball and in college baseball. Your conference champions get in always. All right. Now it's different because your tournament champions are the shoe-ins, but in college football, your conference champions can get in by virtue of the conference championship game. But just like those other sports, you can still have at-large bids and not water down the sport by adding another 8 teams or 19, or I guess it'd be another 6 teams because you'd have 10 conference champions in there. By adding another 6 teams, because what would actually happen is you would have more teams at the end of the year. Yeah, there's going to be the guys who are going to be the shoe-in anyways. I get that. You're going to have the top 8 or 10 teams in the country who are like, it doesn't matter whether they win their conference championship. They're going to be in the playoff. They're really going to be battling for home field advantage and things like that. You would actually open this up to other teams to be able to get into a playoff who traditionally wouldn't. You'd have actually more conversation in every league out there of, oh, can Memphis, if they beat Tulsa this weekend, can Memphis get in? Or what about South Carolina and Kentucky? It's the second to last game of the year. If South Carolina wins this, they're 5-3 in the SEC. With should they be in? That type of conversation. The conversation opens up beyond just 4, 5, maybe 6 teams. It opens up to more like 10, 12, probably 16 teams. I think it's more fun for the sport. And the one thing I'll add on to your resources comment earlier, you can't have resources unless you have money. So if the college football playoffs expanded and there's more teams from these conferences that are in there, there's more TV money to go around. That money trickles down to the schools because it gets split up within the leagues. How do you think South Carolina hasn't been in the college football playoff? Where do you think they're building all this crap from? They benefit from the TV money every year.
So 2 things. Number one, it surprised me because you haven't really realized it, but then when you hear it, you'll settle in and say, well, I guess it makes sense. 6 teams have won a game in the college football playoff.
Right.
6.
That's got to change,
Total.
man.
6 have won. That's it. 6. That's part 1. Part 2, good friend of both of ours, Bobby Harton, yesterday made a hell of a point, and he does often. And he said the point of the playoffs was to make the regular season meaningful, right?
Right.
What it's done is it's made it completely irrelevant. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter that Florida lost to LSU. It doesn't help Cincinnati. It doesn't matter that Coastal Carolina's undefeated. They're not past Iowa State,
right,
who lost to a team that Coastal's beaten once, maybe twice by the end of this weekend. The regular season doesn't matter. It's the brands. Maybe expanding the playoffs does make it more important.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's build more brands in this sport. I mean, there's room for more than 4 of them or 5 of them or, maybe 6, but at the end of the day, it is where we are right now, and it's barring something just baffling this weekend. I mean, truly baffling. I'm again, by what we saw this past week on Tuesday night, by virtue of what they did with Florida after that loss to LSU. If Clemson loses, they're 3rd, right? How are you going to justify dropping them more than 1 spot?
Right. What are you going to do? You going to put Texas A&M in ahead of Clemson? Is that
right? By losing twice to the top second-ranked team in the country? I mean, they've set themselves up for a disaster here. The only thing that could possibly change is whether Ohio State loses to Northwestern, which they won't. I mean, I'm 99% sure that we come back next week, those 4 are going to be in there. I don't know what they'll look like, but they'll be in there.
I'm less certain. I expect something unexpected. So I think all this talk of, well, Notre Dame's probably in, even if they lose to Clemson, even if they get like whitewashed by Clemson. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not sold on that. And I'm not sold on Clemson falling out if they lose, because I'm not sold on the committee staying consistent, because while they've been consistent in their logic to this point, they're also taking immense pressure. And again, they're human. So it's very easy to see a Clemson, say Notre Dame beats Clemson by a touchdown. Now Clemson, and in regulation, now Clemson's lost twice to Notre Dame. They've lost with Trevor Lawrence and without Trevor Lawrence, with a full healthy defense and without a full healthy defense. And Texas A&M has 1 loss, and it's Alabama. I could see it. I could see it. So I think I expect the unexpected. Ohio State, our buddy Brendan Gulick from the Sports Illustrated site for Ohio State had a report out today that they're dealing with more COVID issues.
Oh.
They're going to be without more players against Northwestern this weekend. Who knows?
Oh.
Who knows? I am expecting the unexpected.
Even more of a pass for the Buckeyes. I think that's a debacle.
I
really do. I've said this for weeks. I still don't think they're the 4th best. I think if Ohio State, look, I think they're really good. I think Alabama would also boat race them. I really do. And they already boat raced A&M's. Whatever.
I think they could. I think they absolutely could. And I think at full strength, Ohio State's done enough to tell me that they're one of the best teams in the country.
They are defensively. Bama's offense, Ohio State's defense. No thanks. Give me the Tide by 3 touchdowns.
I agree with that. I also like Justin Fields. He's a damn wizard, and I wouldn't bet against him.
I don't bet against David Cloninger. He's coming up next.
I'm expecting the unexpected. That's all I know. So I don't know what that's going to be.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable we're having this conversation, but it's also great because of the people in college football that made this season possible.
Yeah.
So thankful to have them, no doubt. At 1:30 today, we're thankful to have head coach Shane Beamer on our program. We hope that you'll stick around for that in about an hour. But up next, it's David Cloninger with the Post and Courier right here on the JB and Goldwater Show, protected by McFadden Pest Control.
Is your old car really scary? Does it look dreadful or smell awful? Don't be frightened. There's never been a better time to trade in your spooky old car. Stokes Volkswagen just received a new shipment of the VW Atlas and VW Crossport. But here's what makes that even sweeter. Every new Atlas and Crossport is $3,000 off MSRP. Plus, every 2020 Volkswagen is available with 0% financing. That's right. You get both the huge discount and 0% financing. So if you want to play trick or treat at other dealerships, that's okay. Come see us at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate or visit stokesvw.com.
Peace and love at Stokes VW.
Plus tax tag includes $399.50 closing fee. Offer subject to lender approval. Expires month end.
Merry Christmas!
Keith Gunther here with McFadden Pest Control, wishing you all a happy holiday season. The only outdoors we want coming inside your home this time of year is the Christmas tree. McFadden Pest Control wants to make sure your family has a safe and enjoyable holiday season. And the best way we know how to do that is to make sure your homes are pest-free. We've been protecting the Low Country for over 40 years. Families trust us. We hope you will too. We're wishing you and your family a Merry Christmas from the entire McFadden Pest Control family. McFaddenPestControl.com.
Family Bingo Night is back. All 3 Dog and Duck locations. Every Monday from 6 to 8 is the perfect time to bring the kids, have dinner, and play bingo. They've upped the prizes with retail store gift cards, gas cards, in-house cash cards, and kid-friendly gift cards like Nintendo, pizza, App Store, and more. Thanks for supporting local businesses like the Dog and Duck in Bell Hall, Park West, and on Clements Ferry Road.
Nobody's walking out on this fun old-fashioned family Christmas. No, we're all in this together. This is a full-blown 4-alarm holiday emergency here. We're going to press on, and we're going to have the happiest Christmas since Bing Crosby tap danced with
The JB and Goldwater Show.
12:31. Welcome back. JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen. There's a list today as we usher in David Cloninger of the Post and Courier. There's a list today floating around the internet of every state's favorite Christmas movie.
I saw that made you angry.
It couldn't be more wrong. I mean, it's impossible to sell to me that one of 50 states, only one, their favorite Christmas movie is Christmas Vacation. That's ridiculous.
What was South Carolina's?
The Polar Express, and that's wrong too.
No.
It's not even close. DC, what's your favorite Christmas movie?
I mean, there's only one answer for the entire world.
Oh.
Die Hard.
Oh.
Die Hard is the greatest Christmas movie ever. There is no discussion on this point. Ray Tanner and I had a raging argument about this yesterday because he said that Die Hard wasn't. I was like, no, that's wrong.
That's what Coach Tanner said?
The best Christmas movie ever filmed.
Coach Tanner said it wasn't a Christmas movie?
Yeah, he was on the radio the other day. I was listening to it, and then somebody asked him, what's your favorite Christmas movie, and why isn't it Die Hard? And he said, well, Die Hard isn't a Christmas movie. And I nearly spit out my Coke. I was like, what? No. So, I had to call him up after that and straighten a few things out. I'm like, look, man, I've always been in your corner, but this is an impasse, okay? So we have to have a discussion about how Die Hard is the perfect Christmas movie.
It's one of the biggest arguments every single year, regardless of the point, Christmas or anything, football. The argument of whether or not Die Hard's a Christmas movie every single year.
Well, I hate DC. I love you, man. I disagree with you. I'm in Ray's corner on this. I don't think it's a Christmas movie.
Well, you're wrong, but that's okay. You call in here and take up my time, and then you just say, "Oh, Die Hard isn't a Christmas movie." I mean, opinions are opinions, Jamie, but facts are facts, and you're wrong. Okay?
Yeah, I have been wrong before.
I mean, geez, just check out the soundtrack. I mean, they got Christmas in Hollis right up front.
That's true. So, does that make Die Hard 2 a Christmas movie? No.
I don't really like recognizing Die Hard 2. I mean, it's fine in its moment, but if we're talking about all the Die Hard movies, then the fifth one is fifth for a reason. It was terrible, and Die Hard 2 is fourth. Yeah, it was not good. But I mean, I don't consider it a Christmas movie because it doesn't have as much Christmas stuff in it.
Okay.
But the first Die Hard, absolutely. I mean, look at the final scene, for crying out loud. He's got his gun taped to his back with Christmas tape. How's that not a Christmas movie?
Well, that's right. That sells it. There you go. It's a problem solved.
I mean, you make good points.
Look, man, don't DC, as well as I do, don't give people any more of a reason to beat up on Coach Tanner. You're piling on here. Careful.
Nah, I mean, it was funny. He said that his Christmas tradition with his family is to watch the Polar Express.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I get that. It's just that he was asked that question, what's your favorite? Why isn't it Die Hard? And he said, well, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. I said, oh, no. No. But, hey, everybody has opinions, and that's fine. It's just, to me, it's a fact that you cannot disprove. So that's just mine.
Who asked that question? Was that Jay? Was that Phillips?
Yeah, that was Jay.
Yeah, Jay. Stirring the pot again. That damn Phillips. I tell you what, man. He is stirring the pot. I mean, he told me last week he was going to ask Ray about contracts and stuff. He's talking to him about Die Hard. Come on, Jay. No, I'm kidding. All right,
icebreakers.
Yeah. Icebreakers.
There you go.
Well, our ice is definitely broken here with David Cloninger. He's been kind enough to hop on. This will be the final time we speak with DC before Christmas, and so certainly we wish the Cloninger family. Is this your first Christmas as a dad?
Yes, it will be.
Oh man, congratulations, bud. That is fantastic.
Well, I appreciate that, man. It has fallen into the other discussion. His birthday is January 12th.
Mm-hmm.
So are we going to be one of those parents that tries to combine both of them
at some point?
Holiday?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't really matter now because he's not going to be aware of anything he's getting anyhow.
Well,
but in a year or two, it'll be like, okay, how are we going to handle this?
Well, look here, man. My birthday is December the 12th. And people started doing that for me, like I think right around when I turned 12, and it was so deflating. So wait as long as you can.
My uncle on my father's side's birthday is December 25th. So, and he grew up in like a family of 7. So it was like, I knew better than to ask.
Yeah. See, my mom's is Christmas Day, but we're Jewish, so it doesn't matter.
Darren just firing bullets into his own. Never mind. All right, let's get to some hoops here, DC. We don't have you we do have you for a while today. Let's get to some hoops. Give us the update with the men's basketball program. When do we expect to see them at practice again?
Well, that's the thing. Frank will have an update tonight on his call-in show, but from what I understand, they will get back to practice on Saturday. It will not be a full team. They're set to go with 8 players on Saturday, and, of course, that date is the 19th, I believe. So you would hope that with those 8, and then you hope to get a couple more trickling back in over the next few days, they'll be ready to play SC State on the 23rd. But, this is kind of the new normal. They came back from Houston. The players saw that Houston's program was on pause, so they said, hey, I think we need to get tested. So they did a test. They found a positive, and then, of course, because of contact tracing, you had to sit down everybody. And as it's turned out, it was kind of the 2-week pause, and it forced them to have to cancel / postpone 3 games, including the Clemson game that was supposed to be on Saturday. So they hope to replay that game, but it's going to be really difficult to try to find a spot to replay that game going forward. It's just, but you never know. I mean, there may be opponents that cancel for Carolina and Clemson on the same week, same day, and say, hey, why don't you guys just come on down here and we'll play. And maybe that'll happen, but we'll just have to see how that goes.
Well, let me go back here for a second. So when they got back from Houston, the players discovered, or they saw the report that Houston was on pause, and they said, let's go get tested, and then they found a positive. So is the thinking that the positive in Carolina's basketball program came from playing the game against the Cougars?
Well, I mean, I would think that'd be a logical suspect, but you have no idea how it really happened. I mean, it could have been, who knows, one of the players here said goodbye to their mom or something before they left, and that happened. I mean, you never know where it really comes from. I mean, I'm sure that you can kind of narrow it down, but really, Jamie, the point is that no matter how it happened, it happened. Mm-hmm. So now you got to deal with it. And it's been rough because, they were getting into a pretty good rhythm of practicing or playing, and having that kind of a steady time. And then you got to go back into quarantine. And this is, where there's no kids on campus anyway. And you can't even go home if you're a local guy because you might be spreading it there. So it's been, 10 to 14 days of just having to sit in your dorm room, in your apartment, maybe go grab something to eat at the drive-thru and then come on back. So it's not been easy, but this is what we're all having to deal with right now.
David Cloninger, Posting Courier, 12:38 here on this Thursday afternoon. Reminder, Shane Beamer ahead today at 1:30 with us as well. All right, DC, to Bob Caslin we go. So as noted in your column on the Post and Courier, Gamecocks facing almost a $60 million loss from the previous budget because of the pandemic. President Caslin this week with the Board of Trustees said that, one of the options was to cut teams and cut sports. I think he mention the equestrian team. Let's remember they got national championships. Don't cut them at Carolina. But he said he really hopes to not do that. Can you kind of expand on that conversation as to what the thinking is right now currently at South Carolina?
Well, sure, Jamie. And Bob Caslin was just giving his president's report which he does at the end of every semester. So this was the December meeting for the board and covered a variety of topics. But it was strange that not that he mentioned the possibility of cutting sports and how they do not want to do it, but he mentioned specifically equestrian, both the swimming and diving programs, and men's soccer. And normally I was like, well, why are you mentioning specifics if you're not going to do it? To which he said, we may end up having to do it, but we hope not to. Okay. What makes it interesting, Jamie, is that I'd heard those same 4 sports back in September, back when the pandemic first hit. That it's like, look, it's not anything close to definite, but if they got to go that route, these are the 4 most likely. Oh, well, okay, I guess that makes sense. I mean, you hate to have to do it, but you do look at it and say, if you do those, you're still in compliance with Title IX. It would be really, really rough and a tragedy to have to do it. But the good thing is that right now they are doing everything they can not to have to do it. And Ray Tanner said yesterday, we're not thinking of that at all.
Okay.
I mean, you guys know Ray, and Ray is all about the student athlete first.
Yep.
So he is going to do everything he can to save those kids. And I think that it will work. You just have to hope that this thing, now we got the vaccine coming into South Carolina, that everything will be okay and you can have a normal football season next year, because that's what's going to supply the money to make sure you don't have to take these drastic steps. So that's what's looking good right now. I still am surprised that President Caslin, specifically mentioned those sports. But as he said, he played. He was an NCAA athlete, and he values that experience, and he doesn't want to take away from everybody. So they're going to do everything they can not to have to do it. And with the vaccine here now, you think, okay, well, they should be in pretty good shape. We'll just have to see how the finances work, what the cash registers look like once they get through this spring. Because right now, at least for baseball, softball, rest of basketball, it's still limited attendance. If they can maybe make that full by the end of the year, you can really help yourself.
How many total student athletes would that be? Do you know?
I did a rough count just on the online rosters, and I counted 139.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what the scholarship breakdown is, but obviously women's sports usually have more per team than football, or not football, than men's sports. So like the equestrian team, I believe, had 40 athletes. I'm not sure how many are on scholarship though.
Now, this is pure speculation here, but would there, in your opinion, or whatever digging you've done on this, would this be cut? Let's remind, if somebody's just tuning in right now, remember, this is not none of this is truth right now. We'll see what happens in the future. But if they were to have to cut these sports, would this be something with a plan to bring them back in the future, or wait and see? Do you have any specifics on that?
Well, it's not a definite, because obviously they're not cut at this point. But what I think would happen, is just my opinion, is that if they had to do it, and again, that's a far away prospect, but if they had to, they would use the term, we're suspending these sports.
Okay.
And we'll try to start them up again when they can. So obviously it doesn't really make a difference if you look at it, because like, well, if you're not playing, you're going to be starting from the ground up no matter when you stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, these kids aren't just going to sit by for a couple of years in the hope that their scholarship's going to come back. They're going to go play somewhere else. You're going to have to, restart it when you can. So they would use that term, I believe, and then see what the logistics are in the future. The good thing is that they haven't taken the route that many other schools have, that in-state schools such as Furman and Clemson have, by going ahead and starting to cut non-revenue sports.
Okay.
Again, Ray is all about the kids, and he is going to do what is best for those kids. And as long as there's any kind of money to save them, that's what he's going to do. And I know a lot of people, as soon as I put out that tweet about, well, Caslin's mentioning this, are like, well, yeah, maybe you shouldn't have to pay a $16 million buyout to your football coach. Okay, you have that point, but this was in discussion long before Will Muschamp ever got fired.
Right.
And the funds for that buyout, it's not like a lot of it will be coming from the athletic department coffer as we speak right now.
Yep.
The total amount still has to be worked out. And if that happens, if this happens rather, that money could come from a collection from donors, which, okay, it's not even coming from that. So you're fine. You're back to square one there. And, at least from what I've been told, everything was going to be that Will Muschamp was going to survive the year. Nobody was getting fired this year. And then after that A&M game and then the Ole Miss game, a lot of very, important people called and said, look, this is the money. Don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how all that goes. But right now, as Ray said last night and what the president says too, they're going to do everything they can to keep them from having to cut sports, which is the right thing to do. And you just have to hope that everything will work out. And, I think it will.
Well, and I think, and you greatly noted in this article in the Post and Courier that both President Caslin and Ray Tanner were college athletes and good ones themselves. They understand what it means and takes to be a college athlete, a student athlete. And so they have their best interests first, as opposed to maybe some others in some other places and things like that. So hopefully that won't happen, but it's unfortunate to even have to discuss that. It's been discussed all over the country. I don't think anybody's necessarily immune from this conversation, but certainly something to keep an eye on.
It definitely is, Jamie, and I think this is where you do. I know Ray Tanner takes an awful lot of crap for being too humanitarian and not enough business. This is where being a humanitarian wins out.
Yep.
Okay, you're going to do what's right for those kids, even though it may not be the best business move. I mean, honestly, when Clemson decided they were going to cut their track and field program and cross-country program, I'm surprised nobody asked the question, you got a football coach making $9 million a year. Do you really need $9 million in Clemson, South Carolina? I think, probably some of those millions could help save those programs, but that's not my business.
Yeah.
So they can do what they want.
Me neither. It's not my business either. David Cloninger with the Post and Courier. All right. Another column out by DC this week in the Post and Courier, and it also has to do with President Caslin speaking on the Gamecock women's national anthem protest. Now, this is not something that Darren and I have covered too much of, if at all, actually, on this program thus far since basketball season began. But, we've seen it on national TV. It's obviously been covered. Dawn has been criticized on social media about this. The players have. As anybody who does this is going to be criticized by somebody. We've seen this time and time again. President Caslin, his quote, they have an important message. They have an incredibly important message. I gave 42 years of my life for the right for them to do that. It's their constitutional right. And he went on to say, quote, I think they're losing their message because of the means of delivery. You have a polarized nation, a polarized view of this, and the people that need to hear it aren't listening. So the people that are listening are the people that already know it. My opinion is find another way to get the message out, end quote. And I'll be honest, on a personal note, I thought that he said that very well. That's not whether I support standing or I support standing for the national anthem, quite frankly, but it's not picking a side on this thing. I think that what he was trying to say was, look, I support their right to do this. I support what they're doing. But obviously, if they're being criticized, it's not working. So let's figure out another way to get their message across. What type of feedback has he and this basketball team have since he addressed this?
Well, I haven't heard of any direct feedback. I mean, I just talked to him a couple of days ago, but a lot of people were even asking, why'd you have to go to the school president about that? And I said, well, one, he's the school president, and two, I'd like to get the advice or an opinion of a 42-year Army veteran, a career soldier, about this issue, because I think that he would have it. And what he told me is I met with the team about that last week. We had a great discussion about it. Obviously, the women's team plays tonight. We'll see if the protest continues. But, I completely agree with what he said, as in, I'm a big fan of the First Amendment.
Yep.
Huge fan, because I couldn't do my job without it. And I would never look down on anybody exercising their First Amendment rights to have a free press, freedom of religion, freedom to protest, and so on. I would never look down on that. So if they want to do that, that's their prerogative. I know that a lot of fans have reached out to me in support of them. There's been some fans that have reached out to me saying that they're never coming back to a game. And, that's their opinion. Dawn and her ladies said, we knew what was coming and we decided to put it out, but the kids wanted to do it. There's 11 players on the team. 10 of them chose to sit for every game this season. One, Alyssa Westlick, has decided to stand. So it's their opinions and their decisions, and they're prepared for everything that comes with it. So I decided to get, the school president's input on that decision. And as he said, I support their right to do it. I had a talk with them, great discussion. we'll see what happens from here on out. But, he did have some interesting words about, like, let's try to get their message out to more and more people, because, the people that see you doing it now, it's like, oh, okay, well, we've seen that before. Maybe is there another way that you can keep presenting that message so that more people can hear it? And I have no doubt that the president, Dawn, and the team will continue to work together to do that.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see what they do moving forward, because I think we all have immense respect for Dawn Staley as a human being, as an Olympian. She carried that flag in the Olympics. Dawn led the United States into the Olympics with the American flag. So, I have no doubt that what they're trying to do is get their message out, and that's what I'm anxious to see, what it looks like moving forward. What do they want to do? What can President Caslin help them do? It's a great group.
And there is one thing too, Jamie, that I think was important. Dawn asked and answered it on Twitter the other day. Someone asked, you're the Olympic coach. You're going to be wearing that flag on your shirt next summer. So how's that going to work? And she said, I'm never going to tell anybody they can't protest or not kneel. But for me, I'm not going to kneel, during the anthem at the Olympics. I said, okay. That's fine, because obviously she will be coaching a team of 12 WNBA players, and some of them might choose to kneel. No, that's their decision. But as she said, I'm not going to be doing it. So there you go. And to me, it's like, all right, well, as long as you present all sides of the argument, I'm not injecting my opinion either way. But there's the sides of the story, and that's the principles of the case who matter.
DC, one final one here before we let you run. And, of course, we got Shane coming up this afternoon in about 40 minutes or so, so we'll get more into detail with him. But yesterday, and it's still today and tomorrow as well, is the early signing period in football, and it was the smallest class I think you probably could have possibly imagined for Carolina. But he has noted that was by design. What have you been – what's interesting about this, DC, correct me if I'm wrong, I've never seen this before. You've got a transition staff right now. You got guys who are going to be staying, guys who are going to be moving on. You got a new coach coming in, and yet they're all kind of trying to balance this recruiting act here in this early signing period and moving forward. As you've dug around on it, it's an interesting situation. What have you learned about how this staff in general has handled this?
Well, it definitely hasn't been easy, Jamie. If you consider that the most time that Shane Beamer was going to get was 11 days, and that's counting the Saturday night where it was pretty much official that it was done. Pretty much like when Billy Napier, put out his statement, I'm staying in Louisiana, and you knew Shane was the guy. That's when the phone call happened. So from that point in time, you had 11 days to try to get your arms around the rest of the kids that Will Muschamp had already gotten to commit, and to try to get any others that you might could get. And it's not easy to do, especially when you're still preparing Oklahoma, not only for their games, but for their recruiting. As Shane said, he was still recruiting for the Sooners right then. And while now it's like he's saying it's nothing against Oklahoma, it's a wonderful place and a wonderful program, but I'm also recruiting for South Carolina too. Mm-hmm. So he's been doing all that nonstop for the past close to 2 weeks now, trying to get everybody he can in. And they ended up getting 8 yesterday, 8 signees, which the most they were going to get was 9.
Right.
The 9th is expected to follow through with his commitment and sign in February. But now that gives them until February to try to get any other uncommitted commits or recruits. I'm not sure how many you're going to be able to get, but you just have to go and try to find the ones who can help you right away. And then the transfer portal, man.
Yeah.
I think I read a stat that close to 200 kids entered just last week.
Mm-hmm.
And the rule is as soon as their name pops in that portal, you can contact them.
Right.
So I'm sure that Shane has that portal up on his computer at all times, checking it, refreshing it, and seeing, can this guy help? Can this guy help? Can this guy help? And starting to get in contact with them, because this is what you got to do. Jamie, I was reading a report on another of our beat writers down here in Columbia today. It said, what are the Gamecocks' most pressing needs? Well, I didn't have to read it to know the answer. Their most pressing needs can be answered by putting a blank depth chart on the wall and circling the whole thing and saying, "This you need these, all these players." So you got to get them. And right now it's at the point where you can't recruit in person because of COVID. So you're going to have to take a lot of flyers and just say, I trust the kid's film. I trust what the kid's coach tells me. Come on in here. You can't really do all of the legwork to try to build a big-time relationship before they get in here. You've just got to get bodies right now. You got to have enough to get through the spring and then enough to whittle that spring roster down so you know, here's my starting 22 next year. And, of course, you could get some help from some seniors who may come back. And nothing against the guys who will do that, Jamie, but right now in terms of production, Shy Smith, Ernest Jones, Darius Hutcherson, those guys are all gone now. You know, they're going pro, and they should. I'm not looking down on them. That's a great decision for them, and they should. But in terms of who you got coming back to actually make some plays, well, you got Kevin Harris.
Yep.
Who else?
Right.
There's not a lot known there. So that's the battle they're fighting. They're just going to have to go find guys and hope that they can get enough of a roster in here by spring to say, all right, we've got 100 some odd kids and 30 of them are walk-ons. So let's go see who can play and who can help us in the fall.
Wow. What a position. Any news on the 2021 football schedule and when that could be released?
I've heard different things, Jamie. You know, a lot of times it has come out right around there in bowl season, but I think they're still trying to figure out how this season's going to end and then try to do it, because I know they want to keep the schedule as close to as it is right now, but you're going to have a lot of schools squawking about how unfair that is. Specifically, Auburn.
Yep.
Like, well, hold on a second. We just went to Columbia last year and lost, and now we're going to have to do it again?
Right.
That's not fair, and it isn't fair. But it's like, look, everybody has to deal with it. You know, in the grand scheme of things, they didn't have to do it in consecutive years, but USC played 3 straight road games at LSU before they ever got them back at home. So everybody's going to have to make some kind of sacrifice. We'll see what happens, but I would not anticipate the schedule being out for at least another month.
Okay.
Not until they let the playoff get over, let everything get settled, and say, okay, can you logistically go ahead and sit down and say, here's what we're going to do. But in terms of USC's non-conference opponents that are already scheduled for next year, I haven't heard any of them dropping out. So hopefully those will stay the same. And, you know, just try to get the SEC to fill in around it.
Well, and as of now, you're hearing, and we'll let you go on this. I know you got to run, but as of now, you're hearing that the Clemson game is still planning to be in Columbia, right?
That's the plan for right now, because it's like, look, everybody has to make sacrifices. So, you know, it's like, look, it was supposed to be in Clemson this year. That got wiped out. So going by the book, the odd years are in Columbia. Sorry.
Well, if Clemson tries to change that will be a disaster for both programs. Trying to rearrange contracts and stuff like that moving forward, that would just be a nightmare.
It'd be so much easier just to roll with it. Look, we all took losses this year. Let's just start fresh, move ahead.
Play the game in Columbia. You're better than Carolina is anyways. You'll be, you know, you'll lose, but
that's what I was going to say, but you said it for me, Jamie. I mean, at this point, does it really matter where it's played?
No, it doesn't matter.
I mean, I realize there's a lot of people who hated losing the game this year. Man, it stinks to break that rivalry streak. I'm like, it does, but I mean, in terms of a win or loss, what'd you really lose?
Right. No, you won.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I didn't want to spend Thanksgiving weekend watching another 50-point hammering
by your rival. Yeah. That you could have.
I mean, I nearly got that up at Kentucky. So
the A&M score could be the Clemson score, and it would feel like double that. Let's just put it that way if it's Clemson. So, but they didn't have to play the game this year. Look, man, we gotta let you run. I know you got things to do, and you know, I guess we have things to do as well around here. But I do wish you the merriest of Christmases, David. You're one of the hardest working, one of the best dudes out there. Saw one of your fellow colleagues say something very kind about you actually yesterday. You probably didn't see it, and that's okay. But I saw it come across social media, and he was spot on about that. You do a great job, and I wish you the best Christmas with your son this year. It's going to be tremendous, man. We look forward to speaking with you in the new year.
I appreciate it, Jamie. Thanks for having me, and all the best to you guys and your families over the holidays.
Thank you, buddy. There you go. David Cloninger on Twitter at DCPNC. Speaking of the holidays, don't forget about our friends over at the Holiday Festival of Lights. Go see them. They're up. Can't get out of the car, but you can get some cocoa and a little drive-through for a hot dog or something. But the lights are tremendous. That's why you're there. HolidayFestivalOfLights.com on James Island here in the Low Country. Time for a timeout. When we return, a check-in on Charlie and Tiger Woods this weekend. They're playing golf at 1:30 this afternoon. Shane Beamer, head football coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks, will join us right here on the JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen.
Merry Christmas!
Keith Gunther here with McFadden Pest Control, wishing you all a happy holiday season. The only outdoors we want coming inside your home this time of year is the Christmas tree. McFadden Pest Control wants to make sure your family has a safe and enjoyable holiday season. And the best way we know how to do that is to make sure your homes are pest-free. We've been protecting the Low Country for over 40 years. Families trust us. We hope you will too. We're wishing you and your family a Merry Christmas from the entire McFadden Pest Control family. McFaddenPestControl.com.
At Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum, families walk in the footsteps of our nation's heroes, the brave ones who risked their lives to defend our way of life. Home to the aircraft carrier USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, and the USS Clamagore, there's more than 1 million square feet of exhibit space to roam. White Glove certified, we have several new health safety measures in place to enhance the visitor experience. Come for the day and leave feeling inspired. One of the most impressive museums in the country, located right here in Mount Pleasant. Visit patriotspoint.org for more. We'll see you soon.
Bourbon and whiskey drinkers of Charleston, Paddock and Whiskey on James Island and the Terrace Shopping Center on Maybank is your home for the finest and rarest bourbon and whiskey drinks in the Low Country. This is where I hang out. Go meet my friends Reed and Chris and try one of their exclusive barrel pick bourbons. They have the largest private barrel collection in the state, and let their knowledgeable staff recommend your next pour. PaddockandWhiskey.com. Let not your heart be troubled. Paddock and Whiskey is here for your next double. We're all friends around here. Paddock and Whiskey, proud partners of the JB and Goldwater Show.
This is Scott Glaze, head golf professional at the Links at Stono Ferry, located on the outskirts of Charleston, South Carolina. I'm inviting you to tee it up on one of the most scenic and challenging courses in the Low Country. Our back nine is highlighted with 3 holes that border the Intercoastal Waterway. Visit stonoferrygolf.com to book tee times and discover all that Stono Ferry has to offer. The Links at Stono Ferry is a former South Carolina Golf Course of the Year and is also home to the College of Charleston men's and women's golf teams. Come see us. We would love to have you. stonoferrygolf.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Half, Public Information Officer at the Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum. We're home of the mighty USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, Clamagore, and Vietnam experience. And we're a proud partner of the JB and Goldwater Show. We invite you and your family to come see us and enjoy a day on Charleston Harbor. Visit patriotspoint.org for more information. And now, it is my honor to present the national anthem.
Live, loud, and online.
Final hour here on this Thursday afternoon. Welcome back. 1:03 p.m., December the 17th, 1 week away from Christmas Eve. The JB and Goldwater Show, protected by McFadden Pest Control. Find them at McFaddenPestControl.com. Uh-oh, the roaches are coming out. The family's coming. You got to go to McFadden Pest Control. They'll get rid of them quickly. Call them now. McFaddenPestControl.com. Tell Heath we said hello. He's wonderful, wonderful man. Family-owned business for over 40 years. McFadden Pest Control here in the Low Country. McFaddenPestControl.com. Darren Goldwater to the right of your screen. I'm Jamie. We're here until 2. Coming at 1:30 is Shane Beamer, the head football coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks. But up next is our friend Scott Glaze out there at Stono Ferry. But before we get to Scott, we're going to talk about the PNC Championship. Tiger and Charlie Woods set to tee off amongst many families in this great event. But today, video surfaced of Tiger and Charlie actually out on the range, kind of practicing, that craft they have, swinging the golf club. The video is remarkably similar. So before we get Scott in here, Darren's going to pop this up so you can see little Charlie and Big T out there on the driving range. It's pretty cool.
Look at this. I mean, Identical.
I mean, it's unbelievable. I love that.
Here comes the twirl.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Tiger and Charlie ready to rock and roll. Maybe one day they'll be playing together at Stono Ferry. That'd be great. I know Scott would love it. He joins us now. Hey, man.
Hey, what's up? Yeah, I want to be in that foursome if that's ever the case. But God, I love that video. I don't know, I can't see what y'all are watching. If it's the one where they're kind of face on, and Tiger hits the driver, Charlie hits a wedge, and man, their mannerisms is eerily similar. Like you can tell that not only have all of us idolized Tiger, but his son clearly has as well, because, I mean, he's got those mannerisms down pat.
I'm going over under 90 PGA Tour wins. He's 11. So, I mean, we got to set the bar reasonable here. We don't want to make it 150.
No, yeah.
So 90.
Yeah, let's do that. By the time
oh, my gosh. It's bound to happen with the amount when those videos surfaced this morning, and the amount of content that immediately was coming out on social media. The best tweet I saw for any Game of Thrones fans out there was like, "Uh-oh, here it comes, all the Charlie Woods content," and it was the gif of Jon Snow there taking on everybody coming at him. But man, it's a lot. It's going to be a lot this weekend, but it's all great and good fun, and we've made it, I guess, 11 years without really seeing much of Charlie Woods. Tiger is really sheltered and protected his kids as they've grown up. So everybody's very eager just to kind of get more of Charlie. We never get any of Charlie, which is a stark difference to the way Tiger was brought up, and we all digested Tiger coming up. I mean, he was on TV at 2-3 years old, and then 8, 9, 10, 11. I mean, Tiger Woods was in the public eye his whole childhood. So we haven't had that. So I think people are just so interested to see what Charlie is all about.
Yeah, well, they're going to see it this weekend. You'll be able to catch it on NBC on Saturday and Sunday afternoon. It's 20 pairs of golfers that will be playing the PNC Championship down in Florida. Bubba Watson and Wayne Ball, that's his father-in-law, Tiger and Charlie, Justin Thomas and Mike Thomas, that's his dad, Lee Trevino, Daniel Trevino, that's the son of Lee Trevino. How about this one? I love this. Annika Sorenstam and Tom Sorenstam. Remember last year, Scott? We talked to Annika last year. Remember that?
Yeah, that was a surreal moment last year at the Women's Open, being able to talk to Annika Sorenstam on the phone, and I mean, talking to arguably one of the greatest women's players of all time, and that's even with a shortened career when she retired kind of early there. So we have not seen Annika play golf in a long time, and she is one of my favorites. She was so gracious with her time when we spoke to her, and it couldn't have been more insightful and nicer to us. So
yeah,
definitely excited to see her tee it up.
Is Tom her son or her dad?
Her father.
Okay.
Yeah, Tom's her father. Vijay Singh and his son will be out there. Cass, I think is what his name is. Nick Price and Greg Price, Gary Player, and James Throssell. That's his grandson. That'll be really cool to see there. You got Greg Norman and Greg Norman Jr., Mark O'Mara and Sean O'Mara. I mean, I could go on. I just love this event. I really love this event. Just seeing these dads, playing with their sons and grandsons and playing with their fathers or father-in-laws or whatever. How about John Daly and little John Daly?
Yeah.
What does little John Daly look like? Is he
hopefully not big John Daly?
Just wait until there's another apple that didn't fall far from the tree right there. He swings it like his dad, and they'll both be wearing those loud pants. And the only thing that little John's missing is a cigarette and a Diet Coke.
So
you mean Lil John?
Lil John.
Right.
So Adam Shupak, I'm not sure he pronounced his name, covers golf. Check this to it. You'll like it. Charlie stuffs it to 3 feet at 11.
Oh,
Tiger's knockdown flies 50 feet left. Charlie pours in the birdie, fist pumps with a pro-am, like father, like son.
That's awesome.
Look, man, I would one day we'll get Tiger Woods on this show. I know he's a big fan. He's been busy, but
yeah.
One day I would love to ask him the question of everything you've done in your career, where does this rank? Like, I mean, come on, right? I mean, the first Masters win, you get the father-son moment last year, you got the Grand Slam, you got all these things, 80, 82, you got all these huge wins in his arsenal, but does it just mean a little bit more, kind of like the SEC, this tournament, no matter what happens, to be out there playing a few rounds of golf with your son against all these heroes? This is going to be amazing.
Oh yeah. I mean, I really think this means a lot to Tiger. I'm shocked, really. Well, this is something that we wouldn't have seen out of the old Tiger, but the new version of Tiger, the more open Tiger than we saw in the early 2000s. I think this means the world to him, and he feels like Charlie's ready for this and the onslaught of media that we're going to have. And I know that's going to be really special for him. Who knows how they play? I mean, Charlie's only 11, and they only play 2 sets of tees in this tournament. They have a regular tee and a forward tee, and the forward tee is going to be any women. So Annika will play that tee. Any juniors under a certain age, so Charlie will play that tee, and seniors age 70 and older will play that tee. So actually, shout out, we forgot Tom and David Kite. David Kite, former director of instruction here at Stono Ferry, good friend of ours. They play in this event every year, so they'll be repping some Stono Ferry gear for us down there. And hopefully, I told them, I said, this is going to be the year that you guys win, when it has all this media coverage on it, and they're going to be forced to show you on TV and not cast in the shadows. But
that's right.
Tom is actually 70, turned 70 this year, so those guys will play from the forward tee. And then also shout out to Lee Trevino, who has played. This is the 23rd playing of this event, and Lee Trevino has played every year. He is now 81 years old. Gary Player's also playing too. So playing that forward tee. So it might be a little long for Charlie. I don't know if these guys are going to come in and be able to win the tournament, but if they do, I think that'd make it even cooler.
I'll point this out. One of our listeners, and I've just verified it. He's right. He knew he was right. Little John, that's what he goes by. John Daly II has committed to Arkansas, so he's a Razorback next year.
Oh, there you go.
Or maybe
like father, like son. That's where his dad went and played collegiate golf and is a rabid Razorback fan. So yeah, that doesn't shock me in the least.
Yeah, it doesn't shock me that those two call the Hogs. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, I mean, that's well, it's the greatest in golf. I mean, that we've ever seen. I mean, Lee Jansen's out there and Calc is out there, and I can't wait to watch David Duval play golf this weekend. I mean, when in his heyday, I don't know, back when Duval was at his best and Tiger had emerged, that was as much fun in golf as I could have possibly imagined growing up watching those guys play.
We were kind of deprived from what Duval's career might have been due to injury. Former #1 player in the world, did win the Open Championship, and had some great duels with Tiger. That it looked like that was going to be Tiger's biggest nemesis, but never really, just due to injury, he kind of fell off and then never made it back. David Duval's a great analyst on the Golf Channel and knows a lot about the game, has great insights on the game. But yeah, to be in this event, you have to be a major champion, or at the very least a winner of the Players Championship. So every professional in this tournament is a major champion. So it is an elite field in terms of resumes.
Did Chris DeMarco never won a major, did he?
I don't think he won a major.
I don't think he won a major. Ah, damn it. I had an idea in my head, but we're not going to be able to do that. You know, one of my good buddies who I went to school with is Pat DeMarco, the nephew of Chris DeMarco. And he tells me stories. So Chris and Tiger still talk. They used to be really close. And actually Pat told me, he said, call my Uncle Chris, get him on the show one day and talk some golf. So we're going to do that probably in the new year. But I would love to see him go play in this thing if he was eligible to play, and take Pat to play with him. I think that'd be fun. Yeah, retire from the NFL at some point and go play against all these golf greats in the PNC Championship. What a life! All right, we're getting close to finish time here, my man. But who wins this thing? Who are you going with?
Well, last year Bernhard Longer won with his son. I believe, what was his name? Jason. I don't want to. Yes, Jason.
But he's playing with his daughter.
Playing with his daughter Jackie this year.
Okay.
Yeah. So
sorry about that.
Bernhard has won this event 3 times, so he's always a good pick. Raymond Floyd is the all-time leading winner of the PNC Championship. He and his sons won this thing 5 times. 5 times. Sorry. Let's see. Looking at the field here, David Duval and his stepson seem to always play well. Like I said, Bernhard is always tough to beat. I think Tiger and Charlie will be there. Of course, we'll see every single shot they hit, but I think it's going to be tough to beat Justin Thomas, top 5 player in the world right there, playing a relatively easy golf course in a scramble format. He and his father, I think, should walk away as winners.
Hold on a second. I'm going to text David Kite and let him know that his friend did not pick him to even finish in the top 5.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm pulling for David, and I want to see those guys do well. I want to see him hit some shots on TV there. 2 great people, and I know they have a blast down there and make it a whole week. I know COVID's made it tougher, but it's down in Orlando, so they take kids to Disney and do all that stuff. So it's a fun week to spend with family, and that's what the holidays are all about.
Yeah, I'm gonna send David a text, and number one, I'll call you out. But what I actually will do is I want to get him on the show, see if we can squeeze him in next week, and
No. You need to text him and see if he can hook us up with Charlie and get Charlie on the show.
Oh, yeah. That's just wrong. That's wrong.
Hey, man, good luck down there. I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Can you hook us up with Tiger's kid?
Yeah.
I'm going to text Kai. I want to get his feedback from this. We'll get him on. We'll try to get him on next week before we hit our Christmas break around here. Either him or John Daly, one of those guys.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. All right, StonoFerryGolf.com. So if people have not done this, I don't know what you're waiting on. It fits in a stocking. The gift card does. If you go to StonoFerryGolf.com, you can purchase a gift card or just head out there. It's a beautiful drive into wonderful Hollywood, South Carolina. Go see Scott and the gang. They can give you a gift card, and it's good for golf. It's good for the bar. It's good for the restaurant. It's good for the clubhouse. You can go in there and buy some shirts and golf balls, whatever you want to buy. It's a wonderful gift this time of year. And remember, the golf part of this, right? You can also use this out at Edisto. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we are sister courses under the same ownership with the Plantation course at Edisto. So that is a benefit of membership for sure. If you are looking to join one of the best club experiences in the Low Country, you would have 2 golf courses here and the Plantation course at Edisto. Now, you would need, if you do want to buy a gift card, the gift card here would not be able to be used down at Edisto, but it's the same type process. You can call them, you can go online and be able to purchase that gift card. You wouldn't be able to transfer it between the 2 properties, but it certainly is an option, and we're very happy that Edisto is under our same umbrella.
Well, this is pretty simple. Just buy a gift card to Stono Ferry and then buy a gift card to Edisto. That makes everybody happy. You don't have to pick and choose.
Yeah, easy as that. And we got some great stuff in the shop. A lot of great equipment, a lot of great apparel. We've got great shoes, hats. Like I said, any equipment needs that you may have, and we got some last minute holiday sales going on. So for the golfer in your life, for someone who loves Stono Ferry as much as I do, I love wearing this logo every day. Come and pick up some of the swag. We'd love to see you wear it around town.
And once again, if you missed any of that or have forgotten it already, like I tend to do, head to StonoFerryGolf.com. That's where you can find all that information. It'll also give you a link there to head to the Plantation Courses website as well and get yourself fixed up for the holiday season. Scotty, on that note, we're going to let you run, my friend. We won't talk to you before our Christmas break. We'll be back on the air. We'll be done next Tuesday until January the 4th is when we'll return. And I'm sure I'll text you during the holidays anyways, but I do want to publicly make sure that we wish you a wonderful and very Merry Christmas, a happy holiday season to your entire family. It's a great family. The Glaze family is, and we thank you for everything that you do for us around here week in and week out. We honestly couldn't do this show without guys like you. You do a wonderful job, man. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you, JB. That means a lot. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy New Year to you and yours, you as well, Darren.
Appreciate it.
Everybody out there. And hopefully y'all can come see us during the holiday season and I can drop a good dad joke on you and say, see you next year.
That's right. Yep. See you next year. No doubt. Thanks, bud. See you, Scott.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Scott Glaze on Twitter at Scott Glaze, as a matter of fact. He's the golf pro at Stone Ferry. Again, stoneferrygolf.com. So you can get some of those gift cards and things like that for the holiday season. Stick them in the stockings. Stocking stuffers is what we're calling them around here on the
I'm
JB
terrible
Goldwater
at
Show.
stocking stuffers.
Yeah.
I'm not a good gift giver at all.
Well, I mean, these are in addition to what Santa puts in stockings. These are things that you can just kind of add to.
Right.
Sneak them in there after Santa's already come and gone and that type thing.
Okay.
It's an easy process.
All right. Good advice.
Coming up in 10 minutes, Shane Beamer, head football coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks. He'll join us on the JB and Goldwater Show. Text line is open right now, 843-321-8893. That's also our phone number. HolyCityDriveIn.com for the Holy City Drive-In movie series. They've been doing Christmas movies. Check them out, HolyCityDriveIn.com. And don't forget as well, today's Thursday, buy one, get one half off. Foot-long cheesesteaks. Foot-long. Who wants the foot-long at DB's in West Ashley and Avondale? DB'scheesesteaks.com. Don't forget the boardwalk fries. By the way, soon, new menu item coming. You're going to really like this. Really like it. Get in there, though, now and grab you a cheesesteak, DB'scheesesteaks.com. They deliver the delivery apps, all of them. They're on them. DB'scheesesteaks.com for the full menu.
Since we're just talking about sponsors right now, if you mentioned the Dog and Duck ad that you undoubtedly have seen on Facebook and on Instagram, today's special at Dog and Duck, their 12 Days of Christmas special, for $3, you got to mention it. You can get their pork rinds, you can get their fried pickles, and you can also get one other thing for $3 alone.
One other thing.
One other thing that's on that ad that is slipping my mind, but there are 3 things on there that are generally on like their game day type menu, but not the game day burger. But mention the ad and they'll hook you up.
I'll mention this as well. It's going to be a wonderful weekend for college football and basketball. More on that tomorrow here on our program. But if you're looking for a great place to go watch hoops and football on Saturday, Dog and Duck, they've got the game day burger, and it's really, really fantastic. So check that out if you're looking for a place to be able to watch a bunch of games all at one time at the Dog and Duck here. 3 locations, right?
Yeah, Clements Ferry Road, Park West, and Bell Hall as well.
And Bell Hall as well. All right, some news here from college football just coming out. The University of Oregon Board of Trustees has unanimously approved a 6-year, $27.3 million contract for Mario Cristobal. So it looks like he'll be hanging around in Eugene for a little bit longer. He's been rumored for other jobs, obviously in South Carolina. Auburn is currently open and things like that. But it looks like Mario Cristobal is going to be sticking around up there with the Ducks.
I wonder if it's a done deal or if now he knows that that's at least there should he pull his name out or find out he's not getting or doesn't want another job.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's a done deal that he has pulled out.
I want to know what that adds to his buyout.
Probably significant amount of money.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a hot name.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Name, image, and likeness is a hot topic right now. If you have paid attention, a couple of minutes before we hit a timeout to get to Shane Beamer here on our program, but Congress has proposed a bill that would certainly overhaul college sports. This was the College Athlete Bill of Rights, as proposed by co-authors Senator Cory Booker, a Democrat from New Jersey, and Senator Richard Blumenthal, a Democrat from Connecticut. It would be sweeping changes. It would force some schools to share revenue with some of their athletes, guarantee lifetime scholarships to athletes in good academic standing, establish health and safety rules enforced by hefty fines for violators, and set up a fund to cover some of the out-of-pocket medical expenses for current and former athletes. Now, you got to take a deep dive into some of this. Let's remember something here. When Congress writes something, it's not like on a sheet of paper. It's on like 800 sheets of paper. Look, I kind of looked through it all, the things that I've seen. There's about a half dozen proposals from members of Congress to kind of try to regulate the sport. They all have something in them that's worthy, I think, of some quality change. Name, image, and likeness is coming, and so that's going to be continuously debated and things like that. Have no problem with covering medical expenses if that's affordable to do which it seems like it is, then by all means, I'm all in on that and things like that. The one thing that caught me off guard with all this, and again, you can debate everything that's in the bill, and that's fine. It's up for debate. That's why it's there. The one thing that caught me off guard, Darren, was that there would be a committee basically that would oversee violators of the College Athletes Bill of Rights. And that committee would be appointed by the president. And I'm not talking about President Trump or President Biden. I'm talking about the president, whomever the hell it is, for the rest of time. No thanks.
Yeah, because the government wants this on their plate. They want to be overseeing this. There is a lot. I'd encourage you. It's all over the web. Google it. I'd encourage you to go through it yourself because it's a lot. It's a lot. That's one part that does bother me. Another part that bothers me is sharing the revenue that is brought in, because that then becomes a very unstable thing, because the revenue that's being brought in by the female swimmer is probably not the same revenue that's brought in by your starting quarterback.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Period. The end. Yeah. And the revenue that's brought in at Tulsa is not the revenue brought in at Alabama.
No, exactly. So. Sarah Fuller at Vanderbilt, she would be able to cash in immensely, but that wouldn't be off revenue from the sport. That would be off her brand. So then we see other things like that would be more of a stunt than what she was. Like, I don't think she was a stunt at all. They needed that kicker, and it worked out just fine for them. But could we see that also end up popping up so that other athletes can get some benefits? It's coming, right? We know that it's coming. Name, image, and likeness, the athlete's ability to make some type of profit somehow, it is coming. It's just got to be much more succinct than this bill lays out.
The thing, so here's the revenue sharing part quickly. Athletes in sports that generate more revenue than the total amount of money that is spent on scholarships in that sport would be entitled to share 50% of the money left after scholarships are paid. It's a very detailed, very, very detailed ordeal. So basically football, they would take all that, lump it in, and split it out evenly over all the players in the sport of football. Yeah. So, but there's more on that. We do need to hit a quick timeout. When we return, Shane Beamer, head football coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks, will join us right here on the JB and Goldwater Show, protected by McFadden Pest Control.
Is your old car really scary? Does it look dreadful or smell awful? Don't be frightened. There's never been a better time to trade in your spooky old car. Stokes Volkswagen just received a new shipment of the VW Atlas and VW Crossport. But here's what makes that even sweeter. Every new Atlas and Crossport is $3,000 off MSRP. Plus, every 2020 Volkswagen is available with 0% financing. That's right. You get both the huge discount and 0% financing. So if you want to play trick or treat at other dealerships, that's okay. Come see us at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate or visit stokesvw.com.
Peace and love at Stokes VW.
Plus tax tag includes $399.50 closing fee. Offer subject to lender approval. Expires month end.
Merry Christmas!
Keith Gunther here with McFadden Pest Control, wishing you all a happy holiday season. The only outdoors we want coming inside your home this time of year is the Christmas tree. McFadden Pest Control wants to make sure your family has a safe and enjoyable holiday season. And the best way we know how to do that is to make sure your homes are pest-free. We've been protecting the Low Country for over 40 years. Families trust us. We hope you will too. We're wishing you and your family a Merry Christmas from the entire McFadden Pest Control family. McFaddenPestControl.com.
Family Bingo Night is back. All 3 Dog and Duck locations. Every Monday from 6 to 8 is the perfect time to bring the kids, have dinner, and play bingo. They've upped the prizes with retail store gift cards, gas cards, in-house cash cards, and kid-friendly gift cards like Nintendo, pizza, App Store, and more. Thanks for supporting local businesses like the Dog and Duck in Bell Hall, Park West, and on Clements Ferry Road.
In Columbia, South Carolina, they've made it official. Shane Beamer is going to be the new head coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks.
USC is expected to hire Oklahoma assistant head coach Shane Beamer.
As Shane Beamer, the Shane train will be parking in Columbia.
Shane Beamer will be the next head coach for the South Carolina Gamecocks.
The Gamecocks hired Shane Beamer to be their next head coach.
Shane Beamer, the guy behind me, is going to be the new man in charge.
Shane he's got the Carolina blood.
Do you think this job would be Shane's dream job?
Absolutely, 100%, and he's voiced that to me. Everybody saw the interview that Connor gave, and he said, I got this on my chest, and this is where I want to be. This is who I am. I built a home here, and the whole deal. I think that Coach Beamer is the same way. He wants to be back here, and he still has an 843 number. So living in Oklahoma, it's kind of wild.
Ushered in by our friend Patrick Davis is My Carolina. The JB and Goldwater show returns 1:30 on the dot here on a Thursday afternoon. And we're joined now by the new head football coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks. Welcome home, Shane Beamer. What's up, Coach?
Not much. How are you guys doing today?
Well, you were a little early with the phone call. We still had this special bump to be played, and you weren't supposed to hear that. So sorry about that.
All good. That was a pretty cool introduction right there. I wish all radio that excited.
Oh. You're not going to get a better intro than that. JB's production quality is top notch here.
Well,
never. Absolutely. It actually, obviously very impressed. Really impressed with the radio skills and the production skills.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, it takes guys like friends of both you and I. Pat DeMarco and Steven Garcia and all these guys I've known for a long. I went to school with those guys when you were coaching, and so during this process, I was like, all right, well, I got to get some dudes on so we can talk about Shane, right? So we found the dudes, and I said, well, that might sound good. So anyway, that's how we did it. But anyways.
I appreciate it. No, you found some real dudes if you had those guys on. They great players, great people, and proud to have them in my corner. That's for sure.
Well, we're happy to have the leader of the F Troop on with us today, Shane. Looking forward to getting you back in town here soon. I know you got the Big 12 title game coming up this weekend. Man, what's all this been like for you trying to balance all the new job and your current position up in Norman? This has got to be wild, right?
Yeah, it's been unbelievably wild. We just got off the practice field out here in Norman, and Bob Stoops was at practice, and I was talking to him for a while before practice, and he's like, man, I don't even remember my first month in Norman, Oklahoma when I came from Florida. And he said it's such a whirlwind because you have so many people reaching out to you, and it's been great. Every time I feel like I'm caught up, I walk away from my phone for 30 minutes, and I come back, and I've got 10 missed calls and 30 text messages about different things. But it's been great. Obviously, my priority when I got hired was signing day. We had that yesterday. It was a small class, on purpose, and that's okay because we've got a lot of scholarships and flexibility to work with now going forward into February. Obviously working at Oklahoma, getting ready for the Big 12 Championship on Saturday. So hard at work doing that as well. And then, at night or when I do have free time during the day, it's reaching out to our current players at South Carolina. It's reaching out to recruits. It's introducing myself to, a lot of our great supporters at Carolina. It's trying to put together a coaching staff, still be a good husband and good father as well. So it's been busy, but it's been a good busy, running on adrenaline. It's been exciting. And now that we're through signing day, I don't know if it slows down, but, you're able to, focus on some other aspects a little bit more now also.
What's your message, Shane? I know that this class right now is by design small in numbers, and it will grow, and you've got the transfer portal. I mean, this pandemic has been tough, but it's actually provided you opportunity to be flexible while you're doing all this. But what has been your message to those that you've reached out to come play football at South Carolina?
Well, for one, just as you guys know, I mean, it's an opportunity to play football in the SEC. It's the opportunity to play football and what I consider the best environment for college football on a Saturday of anywhere in the country at Williams-Brice Stadium. It's part of a chance to be part of a year one of a new energy, new beginning at South Carolina. A chance to work day in, day out in one of the most beautiful athletic football facilities in the country, and what we have here. Chance to go to school in a great city, the capital city of Columbia, get an elite education at the University of South Carolina. And then, just it's an opportunity. Let's be real. Everybody who wants to come to college, they want to play as quick as possible. And coming in, it's a fresh start for all of us, the current players on the team at South Carolina, and then the guys that are coming into the program next season. So I don't feel like we're far away in a lot of ways. And our selling point is to these freshmen coming in, got a chance to come in and it's a brand new staff. You got a chance to make an immediate impact day one, especially at some positions where we're thin from a depth standpoint, either through graduation or transfers or whatever it may be. There's a lot of great opportunities for a lot of guys out there.
Shane Beamer, head football coach of the Gamecocks, 134 here on the JB and Goldwater show Thursday afternoon. When you talk to the current players, I think I saw, maybe you said it yesterday. I don't think I was, well, I know I don't think I wasn't able to hop on the Zoom conference with you, but when you talk, I think you're about 90% through the team, kind of reaching out to all of them. But when you talk to them, do they feel like they're better than that 2-8 record that happened this year?
Yeah, they do. I mean, I've talked to so many guys that have said, I had a great conversation with Carry-On Joyner there in Charleston and not just him, but a lot of guys. And they've all said, Coach, we're so happy you're here. We're hungry. We're eager to get back to work. I've talked to them about finishing out, the last few weeks of 2020 the right way, but then it's a fresh start, a new start for all of us. And they're competitors. I mean, they're not happy with what happened this past season and the factors that went into it. And I've had so many of those guys that have said they can't wait to meet with me individually. I'm going to be in Columbia all next week, and my first order of business is to get through as many individual meetings with every single player on the team. And I want to sit down with them and really dive in even more into what's into going forward and our plan of attack. And so many of those guys have told me, Coach, I can't wait to meet with you when you get back to Columbia so we can really talk about some things that we feel like we can be better at and how to get this thing continuing to move forward. So really been pleased with their response and what they're about so far.
Coach, you've talked a lot about this being your dream job, all the positives of Columbia, all the positives of the facilities and the resources and the former players. But now that it's become a reality, what's the most challenging part of not just getting started, but then moving this thing forward the way you want to?
No, great question. I mean, you're right. It's a great story, and there's a lot of feel-good to it, but eventually you got to win some games. And confident, that we're going to do that. Biggest challenge, I don't know. Right now I think it's just thinking short term and whatnot. It's connecting with all these players on the current team as well. And they don't know me. So getting in there, making sure they continue to get to know me and that they feel good going forward, which I'm confident, the majority of them will, and getting the staff in place and things like that. And I'm sure there'll be things each and every day just going to come up that are unexpected that'll be a challenge each and every day that we'll deal with. But, I just see an awesome opportunity and just trying to attack each day and get done what's the priority for that day, get it done, and move on to the next one. But, I'm just looking short term, the things we have to get done in the immediate future, and that's continuing to recruit. And we're not close to being done with the 2021 signing class. We've got a ways to go on that. We're continuing to work at that one. There's some guys that are popping up that are potential transfers that we're hard at work on right now, and then putting together a coaching staff as well. There's a lot of immediate challenges and things on that to-do list.
Gamecocks open September the 4th next year. That'll be Shane's first game as head coach against the Eastern Illinois Panthers, just as an FYI to folks. Shane, what type of offense do you want to run in Columbia?
Well, I'd be crazy with what we've done here at Oklahoma and the historic numbers that we've put up to not have aspects of this Oklahoma offense for sure. I mean, you've got to do, I believe as a coach, you've got to do, what your players do well and, accentuate the strengths of your personnel. And that's what we're going to do. But I mean, we're very multiple and flexible here at Oklahoma with what we do. There's aspects of what South Carolina did last season that we do here at Oklahoma. I mean, I heard somebody say one time that you can't run the two offenses because South Carolina uses a fullback. Well, so do we. I mean, we have a tight end and a fullback on the field about every single play out here at Oklahoma. Now they're good enough athletes where they're maybe not always lined up as a fullback. They're lined up in space, but we want to be multiple with personnel groupings. We want to get the ball to our playmakers in space. You've got to be able to run it and throw it. And I think there's a perception of what we've done here at Oklahoma. You hear like the air raid offense, and it means we're throwing the ball 80% of the time. And we've actually ran the ball more in the last 5 seasons than we have thrown it. here at Oklahoma. But when you're great at the run game, which South Carolina was really good last season running the football, it opens up so much more in the passing game, and that's what I'm excited about. So I'm going to get in there, and I'll be over there next week and have a chance to get around the team some more and see where our strengths are and what we do well, and then build an offense that's flexible and can certainly play to the strengths of our players. That, you know, regardless of what the scheme is, we've got to be tough, we've got to be physical. That's very important to me. You've got to be able to protect the football and create explosive plays offensively, and regardless of what scheme we have, those are going to be four non-negotiables for sure.
You got a Tennessee fan here reaching out to congratulate you. He might not be saying that when you're beating them every year, Shane, but we appreciate it certainly now. When you mentioned the run game, when you look at Kevin Harris, what do you see?
Oh man, my son. I'll tell you this: my son, who's 7, he was talking about Kevin Harris last night when I got home. And, how excited I am to use him. So when my 7-year-old son in Oklahoma was watching the South Carolina games to know about a specific player, that tells you you're doing something right, or he's doing something right. Just tough, physical. I've enjoyed talked to his mom. I've talked to him, and seems like a great young man whose best football is in front of him. And he did a great job this season for Carolina, just a workhorse. And it's tough when, you're struggling a little bit offensively for different reasons. Continue to grind out yards like he did. I watched that Ole Miss game, and I mean, it seems like every single time he touched the ball was a 10 plus yard game. So that's exciting, and I know there's some other running backs in the program as well. The guys in Columbia are really, really excited about going forward. So that certainly excites me. That running back group.
I might be putting you on the spot here a little bit, Coach. Sorry about that. If I am, don't hold it against me. We want you back whenever you want to be, but. That group they've got at QB right now, you got Luke in there, and you got Ryan, and you got Colin. You got a great signing yesterday in Colton Gothier coming to South Carolina. Do you expect that group back next year? What do you think about them?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to all those guys and reached out to all of them and had good conversations with them. It's still early. I mean, they're finishing out 2020, and I'm looking forward to to getting over there and visiting with them, and we'll see how things go forward. Certainly, we want them all back, but all those guys have to make the decisions that are best for them and their families and going forward what they feel like is best. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, I know they're all great young men. They're all really good football players. We'd love to have them in the program, but if it comes a point where they decide that moving on and not being at South Carolina is the best thing for them, then we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But I haven't been getting any indications from those guys that that's the route that they're going to go.
You okay on time? You got a couple more minutes with us? Is that
no, I'm good. Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Well, then we're good. How much time you got?
Yeah, we can go to like 5 if you want.
I'll just truthfully, we'll say a few more minutes. I don't want to keep Lincoln Riley waiting too long. He's still my boss for another for a little bit.
Well, I think I can understand that. Fellow Charlestonian Shane Beamer joining us here. But what hospital were you born in, by the way, in Charleston?
Was it St. Francis? Is
St.
that right?
Francis, yeah, Roper, me too.
No kidding. There you go. Great minds came out of there, hopefully. St. Francis. Was born there. My dad was coaching at the Citadel, so we lived right there on campus at the Citadel. Those old apartments that are still standing, they're right there next to the Citadel practice field. And then I guess after a year, moved out to a house out towards Citadel Mall in that direction and whatnot. So I'll always love coming back to visit. We were just there in this past summer and in the springtime.
Well, next time you come back, we'll call Joe Rice and see if we can't get around to golfing out there at Bulls Bay. How about that?
That'll work.
I think
sounds like a plan.
Sounds like a plan. I think that'd be good. We need to get Stephen Flint. I know you know the Flint family well. We need to get Stephen to come out there and play.
No doubt. There's a bunch of great people. Heard from Stephen during this process as well, and really looking forward to hooking back up with so many of those guys.
Hey, Shane, let me ask you a couple of questions about like football itself here. I want to talk to you about the wide receiving group that you've got the wide receiver group you've got in Columbia right now. A bunch of great kids and a bunch of great athletes, and obviously you've seen it. They had some struggles this year catching the football and things like that. A few weeks ago, Coach Bobo, after I can't remember what game it was, but after some game in a Tuesday press conference, kind of was talking about the background of a lot of these kids and the programs that they came from, their high school programs, and how those programs, maybe a little bit different offensively these days. And so I kind of wanted to ask you what type of kid you recruit now at wide receiver because the offensive systems have changed a lot, and you're going to need some immediate help. And I know that you're going to the transfer portal and things like that, but how has that been different, with kids maybe not understanding route concepts and things like that to be able to get on the field and make an impact at a young age?
Yeah, no, good question. I think it's any position. Football is different in a lot of ways, and every high school system's different. But, at the same time, in recruiting, you want to get guys in there that are, they're competitive and love football regardless of the position. And then, get guys in there that hopefully they've come from great systems that understand that and how to run routes. But then again, as coaches, that's our job when they get to campus as well to teach them and the details of the wide receiver position. It may be caught catching up, and some guys may be farther along than others, but teaching the details and running a system that's simple enough and flexible enough for those guys to be able to go out there and make plays. So I know exactly what Mike is saying, and it's a little bit different, but I think that's the same for a lot of these positions. I mean, coaching tight ends at Georgia and Oklahoma. I mean, trying to find a high school video of a tight end that actually gets in a 3-point stance is hard nowadays because very few tight ends do that anymore. They're all flexed out. They're basically receivers. Finding a offensive lineman. Some high school programs, they never throw the football. Some high schools, they never run it. And you got to project and do that in as well when it comes to offensive linemen in different positions. So it is challenging, but that's part of it. Man.
We know that the transfer portal will obviously be big for you here moving forward and heading towards the February signing class. Is there a specific area of need you're targeting first, or is it more of a general aspect of the portal and seeing what's available?
No, I think it's a general aspect. Let's find the best, guys available, but they got to fit with our program as well. I mean, it's I think it's a Bill Belichick quote that, you're not trying to necessarily collect talent. You're trying to build a team. And the 10 or 11, 12, however many guys that we end up signing between now and February, there's going to be some really talented guys out there. But we got to make sure that from a personal standpoint, from a social standpoint, they fit with what we want to be about on and off the field at Carolina. But there's not one position that we're saying that we definitely don't want to improve our roster at, and there's not one that we're saying that we absolutely have to. I mean, to me, we're trying to create more depth and more competition and at every single position, because all these guys, they affect the depth of your team, and you've got to have a capable roster, 85 guys on scholarship from number 1 all the way down to 85, and then a deep group of walk-ons as well to provide you depth also. And then all those guys, they impact you on special teams. And the more bodies you have, the more depth you have, the better you're going to be on special teams as well. And that's important as well as we continue to build this thing.
All right, a couple of minutes left here with Shane Beamer. We'll let him get back to work. I don't need a bill in the mail from Lincoln Riley. That's for sure. We can't pay that.
I guess he could still fire me, but at least I'm a little bit more secure now.
Hey,
you got a soft landing spot.
If you get fired, it's okay, man. It's all good, brother. You've got a fallback plan.
Yeah, we were at practice this morning, and there's a couple, like every college football team, we've got, fake punts and things like that. And I was working with the punt team in practice this morning. The guys were like begging me to call this fake punt that we haven't ran all year. And they're like, what are they going to do? What's he going to do to you, coach? Fire you? You're a head coach already. If you want to call it on Saturday.
That's right. Yeah, go win that thing. Hey, throw all the cards in the deck out there this weekend. Go win that thing. All right.
That's right.
All right. I'm not asking you about your staff. Everybody asks you about the staff. The staff will be in place when you put it in place, and that's that. But in addition to the on-field guys, filling all those coaching roles and things like that, do you have plans to expand the off-field roles, the analyst roles, and some of these other things that we're seeing a lot of these other schools do? I know guys like Clemson and Georgia and Bama, they have I don't even know who they have anymore. They got a bunch of people in their building doing a bunch of different things. Are you planning on expanding that in Columbia? And when you have former you had the support of hundreds of former players at South Carolina, hundreds. But when you have former qualified players who would like to be involved in this program in some way, shape, or form, is that beneficial to you and maybe being able to offer them a role at some point in time at South Carolina?
Yeah. When first of all, Coach Tanner and the administration at South Carolina, they've given me every indication that any and every resource I need to be successful from a staff standpoint. Those guys and our board of trustees want to work with me to make that happen. Having said that, in some ways I'm a little bit of a less is more kind of guy as well, where everybody has defined roles and you know exactly what everyone's doing. I mean, I've been a part of so programs where you walk into a staff meeting, there's like 45 people in the staff meeting, and you're looking around and like, well, what the fuck do all these guys do? And I don't ever want to be in that position. I like having a tight circle of loyal people that have defined roles, and you know everyone's pulling their weight and doing what they're supposed to be doing. Having said that, again, you've got to make sure that you're able to compete with your competitors on and off the field. So we talked about some scenarios during the interview process. Part of that is potentially adding some more off the field roles in different positions, coaching type positions, and even non-coaching positions as well. But I don't want a huge staff of just, a bunch of people running around the building. I want guys that are impacting our players and confident that we'll be able to put that plan together. I mean, the staff the system and the organization that we have here at Oklahoma from a numbers standpoint is pretty much identical to what South Carolina has currently. So I've seen that it can be done with this number. And then the last question, absolutely. Absolutely. I love being at Carolina, and I want guys that love being at Carolina with me because it means something to them. And who better than former players? And you're right. I mean, I've got a list of all the former players that have reached out about potential positions on the staff, and that's going to be a priority for me, of being able to get some former players, multiple former players, back into positions, whether it be on the field roles or off the field roles. And unfortunately you can't hire every single person that's reached out to me, and they understand that, but I'm proud that there's a lot of guys that want to be at Carolina, and some of those guys will be coming on board with me this year. And then other ones are certainly guys that I'll want to add to the equation as we move forward also.
I love it. Qualified guys. We got to qualified guys. And sometimes, Shane, people hear that and they, you played football, so you can. No, you got to be qualified. All right.
That's right.
Let's make sure we get that out there. All right. I love what you did in the press conference. You never said their name. So I'm not going to either. But that team up north, they've won a couple national championships since you left. Coach Sweeney, for years, Shane, I know he reached out to you and had great things to say. He's a good man. He told anybody that would listen, we're a championship program. We're a championship program. We're a championship program. People bought into it, and then they won 2 championships. They might win another one. Who knows? Look at them now. What's your message? Can you win a national championship at South Carolina?
I go back to what I said earlier. Tell me why we can't.
There you go.
I mean, the resources that are available to us from an academic standpoint and athletic standpoint are all right there. Are we playing in the toughest league in America? Absolutely. But Kirby Smart used to say it all the time at Georgia, and he's right. You win the SEC, you're going to be playing for the national championship. So we're competing to win the SEC each and every year. We made it to the SEC championship game when I was there. We didn't finish the deal. We've got to work to get back to that point and win it. But you're exactly right. Coach Sweeney is a phenomenal man. I've talked to him before I got the job. I've talked to him since I got the job, actually, and think a lot of him. And that's a great barometer for us. Can't wait to get in there and competing with those guys in recruiting and on the football field for sure. But there's no reason why we can't win a national championship in South Carolina, and that's what I'm working towards every single day from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed.
I love it, Shane. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Home uniforms. Everybody wants to know, are you going to come up with a home uniform and just stick with it? What are you doing here with the uniforms? You don't have anything else to worry about. Can you worry about the uniforms?
Let me just get a coaching staff in place first, and then we'll start talking about all the other stuff I got to worry about. We're trying to figure out how we're decorating my office. My wife is asking me about how people wanting who are the coaches. They're mad. They're not mad, but they're excited about recruiting. So I got a lot going on.
Oh.
I'll get back to you on the uniforms, but trust me, I hear the concerns about the uniforms, and we'll make sure we make that right going forward.
I mean, come on,
and
man.
the hashtag too, right? I mean, you took some heat
Oh,
for
yeah.
signing day.
Gotta
No
have the hashtag. Yeah.
That too. I've got so many opinions and options on that. I'm going to dive into all that next week. I'm trying to win a championship on Saturday, and then once we hopefully wrap that up about 3 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday, we'll get to all these other things as well that we haven't attacked already.
Yeah, think about that hashtag thing. That's an important deal, the hashtag thing. Hey, but I will tell you this. I don't know if you've thought about this yet, but I don't know about – do you know about the new musical honor that you carry as head coach at South Carolina?
I do not.
Oh. Well, you know our good buddy Patrick Davis. You know Patrick Davis, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
He has to now reword a few voices in the hit song Big Old Cock because he wrote that and it was Coach Spurrier, and then he had to put Muschamp in there. Now it's going to be Coach Shane Beamer.
There you go. I love it.
You're in a new song.
I love it.
You're in a song. You're in a song.
That is big time. That is big time. All these little it was Shane Beamer Day down in Charleston a few days ago, and then I hear this news today. The thing keeps getting better and better. So thanks for letting me know.
Look, man, we kept you probably way too long. Apologize to Coach Riley for us, but we really do appreciate your time, and we look forward to speaking with you again, maybe in the spring and things like that once you get settled and get everything underway up in Columbia. Really proud to have you back as the head football coach at South Carolina. You deserve it. You got it. You're coming home. People are excited. It's a new era of Gamecock football. And most importantly, Shane, we wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas. And I hope you get to spend quality time with them throughout all these changes.
I really appreciate you saying that. It's awesome to be back in South Carolina. I can't wait to work with you guys going forward. Look forward to being on again, and happy holidays to you guys and all your listeners as well.
You got it.
Great weekend.
Go get them this weekend now. We'll be watching.
Good luck.
You got it. Appreciate you. Thanks, fellas.
Shane Beamer, head football coach and assistant head coach at Oklahoma. 1:55 here on a Thursday afternoon. He's probably ticked because we kept him probably 10 minutes longer than we were supposed to, but whatever.
He didn't sound upset. Sounded like he had some fun. He was born here in Charleston. He's got time for us here in Charleston.
Yeah, no big deal. No big deal at all. But really excited to have him on today and appreciate his time, certainly. I'm sorry, I'm getting text messages.
It's a similar impression. I've never met Shane Beamer. I've heard, obviously, the press conference and everything that has come out around it. But on the show, it's a similar impression. Genuine guy, someone who is obviously passionate about where he is going with the Gamecock program, but also about his loyalty to where he is right now out at Oklahoma. So, look, I'm excited for Gamecock Nation to see where this thing goes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly a breath of fresh air. I mean, obviously, the people that I'm in the circles with, and we've been kind of we've thought for quite some time that this would happen. It did happen. People are excited. The fans are fired up and ready to go, and obviously, Shane is very excited as well. And he actually gave some really good information today. Asked about his offense. He said he's going to bring much of the Oklahoma style with him here, but he also made the comparisons to a lot of what they do. Actually, Carolina's already doing. I think people watch these teams on TV and they think that they're watching JV football versus the NFL, and it's just not true. There's a lot that goes into that conversation, no doubt about that. But certainly, it's not like South Carolina hasn't actually been playing football. No, I mean. There are things in place there that people don't see.
Yeah, there are similarities, right? There's similarities, but it's important to note as well. There are coaches who are stuck in their way of this is what I'm doing. But he has pointed out multiple times and did so again just a couple minutes ago. He will evaluate what he's got and he will fit the offense to the strengths of the team.
Right.
So it can look different. His offense looks different this year than it did with Kyler Murray. His offense looks different this year than it did in previous years, just based in Oklahoma on what's available to him. You can expect the same thing. I think you can also expect it to be a little bit more exciting, ideally.
It will be more exciting, no doubt. Going to be an exciting time for the next few months as he puts this program together. And again, thanks to Shane Beamer for joining us today here on the JB and Goldwater Show. Real quick on the Handy Dandy National Day calendar. It's Wright Brothers Day. They're important.
Yeah,
quite important.
If they didn't exist, then Shane Beamer wouldn't be able to fly from Oklahoma over to South Carolina after the game.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, we should have brought this up to Shane.
Yeah. That's what do you want to talk about?
And
the Wright brothers.
And it's also National Maple Syrup Day. I love maple syrup.
Yeah, it's a good day.
It is a good day. There you go. Celebrate the airplanes with a drowning of maple syrup on your pancakes this evening.
Exactly, with some waffles and pancakes.
No question. All right, we are all but out of time around here. Thanks to David Cloninger, Scott Glaze, and head coach Shane Beamer for joining us on the JB and Goldwater show. Tomorrow, we're going to get Corey McCartney in tomorrow. We got Raphael tomorrow. We got we got somebody else.
We got Trey Essex, who won 2 Super Bowls playing with Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers on the offensive line. He's also a Northwestern grad. He's going to tell you how Northwestern could beat Ohio State and really throw a wrench into the plans, give you a little bit of an idea of the new ACC commissioner, and be our guest picker.
Wonderful. Fun day tomorrow. Looking forward to it. Thank you all so much for watching and listening to our program. We really, really appreciate that. Stay warm. It's cold outside, no doubt. For Darren, I'm Jamie. Have a thirsty Thursday somewhere. We'll see you back here at noon tomorrow on the JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen.